Mm. Hey y'all, welcome to the Devon A. Morris Unfiltered call-in show. Have a seat. Let's get ready. You have any questions? Come on, call in. Come on to that Discord channel. Do me a favor, get the unfiltered crew some finger snaps. We're ready to get started here. Mondays, 8 p.m. Every single Monday, we're here. I'm excited about it. Are you? Let's get this show started, y'all. The greatest Scrum show on earth. I'll see y'all soon. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 within season number 3. And we are talking today about commonly used Scrum practices. You don't know me. My name is Devon Morris. I am your guide on this journey that we call the Unfiltered Show. And we talk about Agile, Scrum, entrepreneurship, anything you want to talk about. That's what we do. Okay? So the idea is really very simple. Let me tell you how this thing works. We talk for about the first 5 minutes, just a little intros. Everybody say hi in the chat. Drop that hi in the chat so I can say hi back to you. So please make sure you do that. I miss some of you. I won't say all of you, but I miss some of you. No, I miss everybody, actually. I love this stuff, right? So just make sure you say hi in the chat so I can get a shout out back to you, okay? So please do that for me. I always appreciate it. After that intro, we go ahead and we talk about the topic of the evening for about 10-15 minutes. Normally, we're done about 15-20 minutes after the hour, and then we open the floor for whatever questions that you have. So we try to leave a good 30 minutes, a little bit more, for questions that you may have in the real world, on the ground, while you're executing and doing this little Scrum thing, right? That's what we're talking about. That's what we do here, right? So, all right. So what's going on this week, man? I'm just happy it's just a new year, right? I got a good client keyed up. I'm gonna be going in and do some client work next week, so it's gonna be fun. I always tell everybody, I always try to get a client in every single year, and guess what? Pandemic happened, didn't happen, couldn't do it. 2022, I couldn't do it either, right? Still worried about that pandemic stuff. But now 2023 is around, and so it's time. I'm about to make it happen, y'all. About to have a whole lot of fun. I'm really excited. Got a lot of energy, so I'm good to go. Um, let's see what else is going on. Oh yeah, just so everybody know, we're gonna do a hardship class. We are absolutely going to do a hardship class. It's going to be the 6th of February. So I'll mention it again. So we got an evening class coming up on the 17th through 4 days later. We can't do it on Martin Luther King's birthday. I mean, on the Monday of the holiday. So the 17th through the end of that week, it'll be on a Friday as well. So 4 hours from 6 to 10, and then we have a weekend class for the 28th of January, I do believe. And then on the 6th, we're doing a hardship class, but we're doing that in the evenings as well because I'm going to be doing client time, in the daytime. So I got to move several classes to the evening time. So if you're trying to get on with me, train with me, or talk, or be a part of my training, just know that's what's coming, okay? What else is there to talk about? Everything else is good, man. I don't have any complaints. I'm running the class. I'm running a couple classes a day. CSM and CSPO. I'm having a blast, y'all. I really am. But I just do. Anybody that knows me, anybody that's been in my class, I always do. So nothing really crazy about that. So let me go ahead and give some shout outs here. Let's see. Sabrina, good evening to you. You're gonna be doing great things. So looking forward to seeing what you're gonna be doing. Let's see. I hate when let's do this. So I gotta double check on LinkedIn for you. Let me come over here and look. Oh, Sakib, what's going on, man? How you doing? For some strange reason, the name doesn't come up right, and so I went over there and double checked that. So, hey, man, thanks, man. The new year is kicking off well. I hope you are having an amazing new year, man. Let me know if you got any questions, brother. Seriously. Let's see, Philip. How's it going, Philip? I still got you. Still got you. Know that, Philip? I still got you. Okay. Let's see. People saying hi. How you doing, Shane? Look at Shane around now. What's going on, buddy? Hope you're doing good, brother. My man Patrick. Hey, Patrick. This is 2023. I'm expecting some things from you, Patrick. I'm expecting to see you do some of that stuff that you was talking about, right? If you don't do it, Patrick, I'ma shed tears, man. Let's see. Mayedzo Magaso. Welcome. I may have chopped your name up. I apologize, but welcome, 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 welcome. I see. Let's see. Asia. Muhammad or Asha Muhammad. I got the Muhammad right. So welcome, 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 welcome. Please throw your welcomes out there. Say hello to everybody else. Let's start talking. Today, I wanted to talk about some things that are not a part of Scrum. You will find that in the general Scrum community, they call these things generally accepted Scrum practices. Um, and that's a good name. I'm good with it. I don't like to call them that. I call them commonly used Scrum practices because whether it's accepted or not, I'm good with that. I call them just commonly used practices, but it's because it's kind of like what I see. And let's talk about some of those practices. Well, let's talk about where Scrum is at first, okay? Ideally, if you really go and look at Scrum and you go to the last page of the Scrum Guide, you'll see that the Scrum Guide is only Scrum in its entirety and functions well as a container for other technologies, methodologies, practices, so forth and so on. You will see that. So literally, last page of the Scrum Guide, like the last 2 or 3 Scrum Guides, that's the way it's been, right? So I don't even look for it anymore. I know it's just on the last page, it says that. Scrum functions in its entirety, serves as a container, yada, 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 right? So that means you can add whatever you want to Scrum. And when I think about Scrum, I just think about it as time box plan that you evaluate daily and you learn about the product and the process and you do it again. That's how I think about Scrum. Now, there's obviously 5 events associated with that. You got 3 roles, 3 artifacts. Those 3 artifacts have 3 commitments, 1 each, right? So that's what Scrum is really made up of. It's nothing more than that. So things that are part of Scrum that you generally see that's just there, okay? One thing that's probably there that you may see that some people use that was a part of Scrum at some point is these things called burn charts. I still know people who fundamentally look at burn charts. I haven't physically created a burn chart in many, many years. In many, many years, okay? I love to hear from the audience that's here in the chat. When was the last time you seen a burn chart, right? But let's talk about what a burn chart is. A burn chart, they was around Scrum a while ago. Like they've been around Scrum for a long time, right? And so they used to be a part of Scrum. They were required as a part of Scrum, right? So again, let me say this again. Tell me when was the last time, just drop it in the chat, that you actually used the burn chart. You used the burn chart, right? So over the years, there's been a leaning away from the burn charts, okay? For many, many reasons. And so, but they used to be a part of Scrum. They used to be an artifact related in Scrum. So if you look at older Scrum guides, you will see that it exists there. It really does exist there. But in today's world, it's not a part of Scrum. Now, when was the last time I truly used a burn chart? Like literally used a burn chart outside of the classroom environment. I still teach it in the classroom environment because I want people to be aware of it just in case they need to be aware of it. I really, really do. So when was the last time I used a burn chart? Truly used a burn chart? 2014. Like literally 2014. Okay. Now, normally I've walked away from burn charts because they've caused me some heartburn, some heartaches, over time. They really have, for various reasons, right? And I remember a team chastising me at one point about me forcing them to do a burn chart because it was a part of Scrum, and I was thinking you should do everything. saying to me, we don't need to do it. It serves us no value. And then me, right, getting it at that point, right? But I literally haven't jumped on using a burn chart unless I find a pull for a burn chart. Now, it's likely for this client I'm going to deal with, I'm going to have to probably pull out burn charts. But I'm probably going to pull out a release burn chart and not a sprint burn chart, right? Let's see. Let's talk about it real quick. I see Shane says this 3 months ago they used a burn chart. Sabrina's never used a burn chart, but I think Sabrina's new, so I don't think she has had the opportunity to have some real big exposure to burn charts. Yeah, we barely look at our burn charts nowadays. We try to stay at the top of blockers and real time day to day. So let me make sure I identify who gave Sakib gave me that. Okay, I thought that was you, Sakib. So really, when it boils down to it, the usefulness of burn charts just don't seem to be the same way that we once thought that they were, right? And probably the main reason why a lot of us don't use it is because it turns into um, something negative, especially when the team is not delivering as some outside parties think that they should, right? Um, here we go. Jay Allen is saying, hey, I'm new, so I ain't never used it. I get it. It may not be something that you get much exposure to. Matter of fact, for most of you all, it's in a tool anyway. So you'll probably never create one, right? Let's see. I might use them low key to show the team. Never should they be used as a tool for management to monitor teams. And Philip, this is where I had a problem at because I find that a lot of times management use them as a way to ultimately punish the team because it's a no-win situation. You either getting everything done or you're not. Even if you're ahead, it's just like you're just getting everything done. So it normally for me is a zero-sum game with a burn chart. So I really don't dive too deep into them. Seriously, I don't, right? Now, I will flip that and say this. If it is a release that I need to provide some perspective on, if I have a pull for it, okay, so now for us to be clear, a push is like a push notification. Something is just given to you regardless of where you want it. A pull is something you go and you go get. If I have someone that's going to come and get it, then I might feel different about it, completely different about it, okay? So burn charts, just be careful on how you use them. I would agree completely with Philip here. As a tool for management, I don't think that may not be an appropriate use for it. Show the team, see how things going, see how they collectively perk. I get that one, right? Completely get it. But I only really use it at all if there's a pull for it. I'm just being 10,000% honest, right? So, what else? Probably the probably the next most popular, and I wouldn't even say that the burn chart's the most popular, but probably one of the most popular ones. It falls between two, right? It's either gonna be user stories or it's gonna be story points. These are those next two that really, just kind of crush you, right? So, here's the deal, right? I'll ask the question once again. Throw it in the chat. Are you where you're working at? Are you actually using user stories? Just drop it in the chat. Tell me in the chat. Are you using user stories, and are you using them the way that they were designed to be used? Now, let's talk. Okay. For me, I've always used user stories. I kind of lean toward user stories, right? I like user stories because they give the perspective of the user. Now, understand my mindset here, right? So, for me, let's go to the base level here. What is a requirement? A requirement is a usable representation of a need. Boom. I got that out of, I think, the Business Analyst Book of Knowledge version 3. Something I got that from someplace like that, right? That's not mine. I'm giving credit where credit is due. So, a requirement is a usable representation of a need. Okay? Now, a user story is one type of a requirement. Like a business requirement, a technical requirement, a use case. All just different types of requirements. Now, in the beginning of my career, I was used to translating or turning business requirements into user stories. Okay? That's what happened. Until I realized that I'm writing requirements twice. All you have to do is do it once or twice to realize you're writing requirements twice. and now you feel a little different about it, right? But user stories have been around forever and a day. I believe user stories was a part of extreme programming, right? And it's just a part of building, that story. It was designed to be a conversation, like you're sitting around a campfire, and having a conversation with the user, the customer, about what they want. And it goes from being something that you have a card, you have a conversation, and then you do some confirmations, right? The three C's is associated with that. Now, everybody knows a user story format is going to be as some kind of role. I want something so that whatever the reason is. You're going to make sure you have acceptance criteria associated with it. Now, do you have to use user stories? According to Scrum, no. No, absolutely not. Scrum does not prescribe or recommend that you use user stories. Again, this is a commonly used Scrum practice. It really, really is. Because I would think that the majority of teams out there are using user stories. So let me know in the chat if you are using user stories. And if you're not, tell me why. Tell me why. I see Sakib out here, right? Here we go. Your name showed up this time. That's interesting. It didn't show up the last two times, right? We're using user stories, but we don't follow the same old template for writing them, right? We just try to use a normal, understandable language to make sure that the user story has proper requirements. Okay, understandable. So some modification to it, but Scrum finds that to be acceptable. Whatever Sakib is doing is acceptable from a Scrum perspective, because anything we put in a product backlog is fundamentally called a product backlog item. That means that once we put that user story in a product backlog, it's called a product backlog item. But that would be another one of those commonly used Scrum practices, right? I don't know too many teams that's not using some version of a user story, right? They might have a little foundation in the user story, and then they switch it up, like they won't put the Y part there, or they'll change it up a little bit. But whatever it is, they kind of move forward in that direction. And that's okay, because it is just one of those commonly used Scrum practices, right? Now, let me talk about the third one. The third one is story points. The story points, man. So, first statement, right? Am I really a supporter of estimation at all? Absolutely not. Because normally you're asking people to estimate when they know the least amount of information. Okay? And when they know the least amount of information is when they're going to get it the most wrong. Okay? So, and then you don't want people to change it, right? So, if that's your philosophy on estimation, then I'm definitely completely against doing it, right? However, story points is one of the staples that's associated with Scrum. Story points really, really is one of the staples that is associated with Scrum. So then, if you think about it for a second, how many of you all are actually using story points? Drop it in the chat. If you are using story points and you are actively using story points, drop it in the chat. If you're not using story points, hey, just tell me how long ago it was since you last seen a story point, okay? But what is a story point? A story point is a relative measure of size. What is size? Size is a combination of complexity, effort, and risk. That's what a story point is. But I said relative, right? I said relative. And that's the key statement. It's relative, right? That means if I have a data point like this phone, right? And then I have another data point like this iPad, right? If I take this phone and I give this phone some miscellaneous value like a 3, the question is, this iPad relative to this 3, what it takes to make this in terms of complexity, effort, and risk, what would the value of this be? Drop it in the chat for me. If this is a 3, then what is this relative to it? Now, if you're going to use a number, we classically use the Fibonacci sequence, where it goes 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, so forth and so on, right? Or maybe you just go 13, 20, 40, 100, whatever that is. So look, do me a favor. Let me know if this is a 3, to make this phone right here versus making this iPad right here. If this is a 3, what is this relative to it? The relativity is what matters there. Just drop that in the chat for me, because that's all the story point is. It's taking a known and understanding what an unknown is based on an or relative to the known. That's what it truly is. It's nothing more than that. I find story points to be a beautiful thing, but I also find them to be used against people, right? Because if you're going to story point, you need to be able to do something with that information. And any of this data you can actually manipulate. I could tell you stories about that at another time. But the idea is really, really very simple. Most teams use them. Whether they're right or wrong with them, most teams use them, right? So let's see, Philip, yeah, I use story points. Jay Allen, yes, I use story points, right? Yes, I use story points, right? Yeah, story points are being utilized. I even got Philip throwing a 3 out there, right? Yep, using story points, right? But I always remind the team that they mean absolutely nothing unless we use them to compare them against one another, right? That's very, very true. Very, very true. And I can't compare them across teams. So story points have some value. They really do. Because if you have a story point, you can actually complete story points. And if you're completing story points, then guess what? Guess what? You can determine a velocity. Because velocity is average story points completed. That's it. So you can get a velocity. If you can get a velocity, you can actually guesstimate how much you can get done within a certain time frame. Or figure out how you can manage the triple constraint. And that's a whole nother conversation. One day, when y'all ready for it, I'm going to give you some forecasting 101. How about that one? Now, we're going to do 301. We got to go higher level, right? This is the 101, okay? But as Philip says, sprint estimation, period. It's not roadmaps. It's not. It's not. It's not guaranteeing you can get everything done. It's just not. It never can. It's going to be a guesstimate, a forecast of where we're going to go, and likely you're not going to get exactly that forecast. So when you really just sit back and think about it, story points is an amazing tool, used correctly. You can't use it with evil in your mind. That's so stupid. You can't use it with evil in your mind, right? That's the main thing there, right? And so I know with the client that I'm going to be dealing with that, guess what? They're going to probably use story points. Guarantee you. I guarantee you, because they just are. I guarantee you. I'm not going to be, even if I tried to fight them on it, it ain't going to go down any different than that. So realistically, if you think about the things we just talked about, probably another one, and I'm probably going to stop here because I'm stop soon. Let me move on past the story point situation. Another thing that is a commonly used Scrum practice is refinement. And refinement is always interesting because refinement is the detailing of the product backlog out into more detail, right? To make the product backlog better. That's ultimately what product backlog refinement. Again, we stopped calling it grooming. Even if you want to call it grooming, I guess I'm okay with it. Just know that people in other countries look at grooming as being associated with pedophiles, and that's the reason why they don't, want to use the term. So we use the term product backlog refinement instead. So when it comes to product backlog refinement, it's just about making that product backlog better. But tell me if this is not you. Isn't your product backlog refinement sessions directly proportional to how involved your product owner is or is not? Like there's this negative relationship. If the product owner is engaged very much, you have to do more refinement. If the product owner is engaged a lot, you tend to do less than refinement. Tell me if that's your equation. I guarantee you, for anybody in here that has to do with it in refinement, tell me if that is your equation or not. Your product owner is either not available, not engaged, don't have the domain knowledge, and when those things happen, it proportionally increases your refinement activities, right? Because we're refining what? The product backlog. In Scrum, who owns the product backlog? The product owner. So guess who should be doing the ongoing activity of refining the product backlog? Product owner should be, right? But for a lot of us, we don't have product owners that's that good. For a lot of us, we don't even have product owners that's available, right? We don't. We don't. A lot of us don't. And that happens, right? That happens. And that's okay. That's okay. I will say that's probably one of the most popular ones as well that's considered to be something that everybody does to some degree. And yes, you're going to do refinement. The product owner can do that by themselves, right? But when most people are talking about refinement, they're talking about setting up a separate meeting for us to do stuff, for us to do stuff, which again is just amazing, right? It's always amazing to have that stuff happen. So that being said, I think we'll leave it at that. We talked about four different commonly used Scrum practices. You might hear them as generally accepted Scrum practices. All those things are amazing, however you want to say it. I just like to call them commonly used because that's what I see, right? That's what I see, right? And people use it as if it's a part of Scrum. And again, it's not, but people do treat it that way. And again, and if that's what you want to do, it's no problem. There are no Scrum police around here. There's nobody's going to stop you. Nobody going to come tackle you all of a sudden out the blue and be like, you're doing this wrong. And if somebody does come tackle you, that sucks. That sucks. I'd be a little bit upset if somebody came to tackle me over some Scrum stuff. I'd be a little perturbed, a little bit disturbed about it. It'd be a whole problem. I'd have an issue, man. And I'd have to go and we'd have to have some conversations. We would, right? That's just that don't make no sense, man. So that being said, let's just back it up again. Let's go through these, and I'm going to backwards. We talked about refinement, detailing out of the product backlog, one of those commonly accepted, commonly used Scrum practices. So love refinement. I love getting into refinement. I can give you some tips about that if you want me to one day. Estimation, probably the most fought about thing that exists in this whole space. I mean, when I say fought about, people fight about this all the time. Story points, no story points. Story points equal hours. It don't equal hours. Man, it's all kinds of fights about story points, right? I'm like, do whatever the heck you want to do. I don't want to be involved. And then there's user stories. User stories are used by everybody to some degree, right? So another one of those things that actually exists, right? So yeah, so you'll see that too. And then the first one that we talked about was burn charts, something that I see just kind of almost fizzling out, dying out. I see it used less and less and less. But tell me, did I miss something? What did I miss here? Right? So welcome P Bell, greetings. I see P Bell, and that says to me, hey, if you have not subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe, like this channel, invite other people to join us on this journey. Every Monday, one night we do this, and I'm probably gonna try to do a little bit more. We gonna see. We gonna see. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. That's so stupid. Oh yeah. So if somebody try to get me, man, it's gonna be a whole issue. Yeah, it's gonna be a whole issue. I'm from Chicago. It's gonna be a whole issue all day, every day. Somebody tackling me. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that is kosher. How about that? That is so stupid. Oh man, that is crazy. So yeah, so anyway, I talked about the actual commonly used Scrum practices, but here's my question for you. I'm thinking about talking about those things on a show, right? I got a few people here. If there's any one of those topics in terms of commonly used Scrum practices that you would like for me to talk about, maybe even next week, drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. Yeah, drop it in the chat, right? Well, look, man, if Terry Crews came and tackled me and Terry Crews would have a problem, and me and Terry Crews would have to go at it. I don't care how big Terry Crews is. I'll probably even lose. I don't care. But if he allows me to get him on the ground and there's going to be some jujitsu happening, he got problems if he allowed me to get him on the ground. But he's strong. I'm not that strong. He's strong. So I'm going to have to figure out some Jedi magic or some magic tricks. But if I see him coming, if I see that big dude coming at me to tackle me, man, I'm going to sidestep him. I'm going to sidestep him. I'm gonna have to do that one of that, like I'm swimming, man. I'm gonna have to sidestep him is what I'm gonna do. That is so stupid. I'm gonna have to sidestep him. Terry Crews, I'm gonna have to sidestep him. but he's a good tackler. He played in the NFL, right? Yeah, he did play in the NFL. So he a real good tackler. But I'm gonna have to sidestep him, right? I'm gonna do a Barry Sanders on him or something, right? Oh man. You know what? That's what I like. My boy Patrick right there. Yes, Patrick, I will take him. Now if Terry Crews shows up, I'm gonna shake his hand at least. I like him. I like some of the stuff that he's been in over time. I'm curious about some of the things he did say, but we're not gonna talk about that. Everybody's good people, right? So that being said, we talked about commonly used Scrum practices. Here's what I would like to know: of those commonly used Scrum practices, type in the chat which one of those you would like me to talk to more in depth. More in depth. Okay, drop it in the chat. I was thinking about just doing the next few weeks talking about commonly used Scrum practices and talking about all that stuff in a little bit more detail. But if there's one of those topics that you would love to see us talk about here, just drop it in the chat for me, okay? If there's one that I missed, you might disagree with me. There could be something that I missed. If I missed something, drop it in the chat as well. So do me a favor, do me the honor, and do that for me. So that's great. That is exactly the way we want things to be. So once again, if you like the content here, please like and subscribe. Definitely want to subscribe because this year we're going to get over that 1,000. We're shooting for doubling the number. We're shooting for a little bit more than double the number. We're looking to get to 1,500 this year. We're looking to double that number, 1,500, right? So that'll be an amazing thing. So here's that part of the show where I am supposed to drop you a link in the chat, and I'm going to do that. And here's how this works, so then you understand. This is the time where you can ask questions. So please drop your question in the chat, or you're welcome to join me on the show. Either one of them works for me. It's completely up to you. Obviously, if you join the show, it's going to be a way more intimate conversation. I'm going to be able to really talk to you about whatever it is that you want to talk about, probably in a little bit more detail, and then also be able to exchange information with you that can actually make this a little bit better. They can make this a little bit better, at least provide a better answer for you. So if you think about that, you want to join, I just dropped the link in the chat. You come on, join the show, and we can talk, okay? Callers take preference. So if you really want your question answered, call in. They take preference. Other than that, you are welcome to drop whatever questions you have in the actual chat, and then we can actually talk about it, okay? Let's see. Let me see what people are saying. So I see story points, refinement, estimation, story points, refinement and estimation. We see all those things. That's good. Very common things to talk about there. And maybe we'll talk about something like that next week, right? We'll talk about that next week. Whichever one y'all really want me to talk about next week, whichever one gets the most comments, we'll talk about it next week. Okay? So we'll be good to go. That is where the fun is at, because the fun is in what we do every day. Always in what we do every day. Right? Um, and I'm not trying to get into too many battles with it. Look, let me tell you something. You can't be giving no double answer, Sabrina. The whole refinement and estimation. You know what? Ms. Muhammad gave the same answer too. Slow down. Slow your roll. Pick one, man. I can't do everything. We can figure it out. We can do it all, right? We can do it all. You saying talk about the product owner? P-Bell, come back to class. You come back to class. For alumni Bearded Eagle, they get to come back to class. The class that they took, they get a one-time refresher. Just know that. You're welcome to come back to class. So we can do that. Evelyn, how you gonna do the same thing that they did? Refinement and story points. Oh, that's so funny. Y'all just kind of throwing it. I was just said pick one, man. Ah, you think I can do it all? I think. You know what? Let me tell you something, Sabrina. I don't just think I can do it all. I know I can do it all. That is so stupid. You gotta have it. Hey, you have to have confidence in yourself. You do. If you don't have confidence in yourself, hang around me for a little while. Trust me, you'll get some confidence in yourself. Because I ain't got nothing but confidence in moi. I bet on me all the time. All the time. I do. Right? tech. Oh, I see. I like what Philip said. Philip said techniques for getting story points. See, that's really something specific. I like that, Philip. You know what? I may write that down, Philip. Seriously. Techniques for getting story points, right? Techniques for getting story points. I like that. That sounds like an amazing show. It does. And as soon as I open this up, I'm going to write it down. Techniques for getting story points. Yeah, I like that, Philip. I like that you suggested that, right? Love it. Love it. Love it. Just saying story points to me, hey, man, that could be an all day thing, right? Big topic. But I like that. Thank you. If y'all could be specific like Philip, that would actually be very helpful, right? Talk about a BA being used as an early entry to a Scrum Master role. Shane, just do the Scrum Master role. The only thing that's preventing you from doing it is an opportunity showing up. That's it. That's it. People actually go from every single role I've seen into being a Scrum Master. I haven't seen a role that hasn't been touched. Project manager, business analyst, you know, developers, testers, and become amazing Scrum Masters. So I think every single role can transition in that direction. Just make sure it's in your heart, people. If you're making that transition and trying to do Scrum Master, it's not for the weak. So make sure that I have somebody in class to say, hey, what does the Scrum Master do? Yeah, if the Scrum Master didn't do nothing, then guess what? We all be unemployed. Literally. And this thing been around for a long time and it's free at that. It's free. That's the key thing. That's how they tell everybody. Scrum is free, man. You don't have to you don't have to do anything extra special to do some Scrum. You just know that it's free. And since it's free, you just rock with its freeness and then you go from there. Nothing really complicated about that. You shouldn't make it complicated. If you're making it complicated, then that's on you. That ain't no nobody else but you at that point, right? It's nobody else, it's on but you at that point, okay? So Scrum is completely free. I almost didn't even get a whole CSM. Like back in 2005, I would have never voluntarily went to go to get a CSM. I went to go get a CSM because somebody I respected told me to. You know, like, hey, go do this because this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, I want to be you when I grow up. I want to be a project manager too. So since I want to be when I grow up, I'm gonna go take this CSM class. And since I got this PM, I'm gonna go take this CSM class and see how it works. Unfortunately, it led me away from being a project manager, right? Led me far away from being a project manager, which is cool. Which is cool. I mean, I'm good with that. Hopefully, you're good with that too. I just have fun with everything because I've been a developer as well. So I've had the opportunity to play every single role in terms of the Scrum team. So I think it's a beautiful thing. And the one that I fell in love with was the product owner. That's primarily the one that was the product owner, right? I see them doing the BAs doing most of the work. A lot of times that the Scrum Master does. That's why I asked. I always think that that's really related to Shane. That's really related to your organization and the responsibilities that they place on different people. So, for example, a lot of times your business analysts are part of information technology, which is normally the same place where the developers are, which means that a lot of times their management structure desires for them to actually work closer with the developers. And so you'll find that a lot of times is the case. But then you also have the BA that, is working closer with the business or maybe the product owner, and they don't have as much communication with the developers. And in Scrum, they learn to develop that. So it really depends on how your organization structures things and what those roles really are and those responsibilities that exist amongst them. So it's something to be thought about. But I don't disagree with you. I see a lot of big BAs doing wonderful and great Scrum Masterish kind of work. Amazing, great servant leaders. One BA that I really, really, really loved back in the day, she would actually every single sprint bring in a waffle iron and she would create waffles for her team. And I was really, really jealous because I wasn't on her team. I mean, I could have bum rushed the show. But the idea is that I was just the Scrum Master and my time overlapped with hers. Otherwise, I'd have Found a way to scoop myself in while she was doing waffles at the joint. So I was really wow, man. She would actually really do that, and everybody loved it. She had people showing up all the time, right? She really did. People didn't miss it. People did not miss that sprint planning. I can tell you that right now, right? Yeah, but you definitely got to look at description. Anytime you're going after a job, I mean, the truth of the matter is, I'm gonna say this to every single one of you all, right? Shameless plug, literally shameless plug. Every single one of you all, if you haven't gone to Brand and Land by my guy named John Signo, then you're missing out. Because the idea is that you need to find a way to brand yourself. So, and then you are matching your skills with the job description, right? Matching your skill set with the job description. I'm not talking about lying. I'm really talking about just making sure that your resume, the what you're presenting as yourself, your avatar yourself. That's crazy. Your resume is your avatar. Okay? Your resume is your avatar. And you want your avatar to be the best dang on avatar it could be. Okay? Somebody put a pound avatar in the chat, man. Pound avatar equal resume. Throw it in the chat for me. I want to be able to remember that. That is crazy. That is so stupid. But anyway, no, hey Shane, for real, I'm real. I'm for real. She did bring a waffle iron to the job, man, and she really fixed pancakes. No, waffles for her team. Every sprint planning, she did this. This is not a joke, man. I am not kidding you. That's what she did, man. I don't even remember her name, but I'm telling you, I remember the company. I was down in San Antonio when it happened, for real, and I seen it happen on more than one occasion, right? So that's amazing. So thank you, Miss J Allen. There you go. Avatar equals resume. Hey, it's true. Your resume is your avatar. So you need to really spruce that thing up. If you're looking like that, you need to make sure that your stuff matches out. When I took that Brandon Land class, I'm telling you right now, like I said before, I I put my resume up against up against the dang on job description, and I had a 25% match. And I'm a certified Scrum trainer, right? And I was really like, this is just this. I was really upset. I was almost sad and depressed. I literally looked at it and I went, dang, I'm getting old. They don't even like me no more. I was having a whole problem. I was emotionally distraught for about 5 seconds, man. I'm not emotionally distraught for long. I'm just not, and I'm not going to be. But I was in that 5 seconds. I was emotionally distraught for that 5 seconds. I kid you not. I kid you not. Here go Petra. Petra says that Brandon Land is a great class. Yes, I plug it. You take it. Take that class. Normally it's put on by PMI Dallas. He does it at other PMI chapters. Matter of fact, I am gonna have John come do a Brandon Land class for Bearded Eagle. Yep, I am. I am. I am. That's what I'm gonna do. I am. John's my man, though. I love John. Seriously, I really do. That's my guy. Yeah, man. Look, let me tell you something, though. Let me tell you something. The waffle iron, the company might fire you, because a lot of companies don't want you bringing in heaters, man. Like, those little standalone heaters that you bring in and you put by your feet to keep your feet warm. They don't want you bringing in those. So I don't know if you want to bring in a waffle iron, because they might think that's a fire hazard. So I'm just letting you know, because I've been in trouble about these kind of things before. I have found a magical way to get fired from several places. You don't want to do that. You don't want that to be you. And I make sure I go out in a glorious blaze is what I do. So be careful with some of this stuff here, because it might cause a problem. Oh man, yeah, Sakib. Yeah, that Brandon Land class is amazing. Like I said, I took it. I really did take it, and I enjoyed it. That flipping 5 hours, man. It was 5 hours. It was 5 hours, seriously, right? I don't know why I'm getting booed. Why are you booing me, Jay Allen? I thought we was friends. Okay. All right. So then, yeah, man. So I'm just, it just, it just is what it is, right? Um, Ain't nobody got no questions. Did I miss the questions? Surge protection would, or yeah, surge protected would help. But I mean, but companies really be having these rules, right? I remember, I remember back in the day when I first worked at State Farm, right? I kid you not, right? Um, we they gave us a room, right? Um, so we could do the whole scrum thing, right? And what they said, well, they gave us a room to do sprint planning, but we didn't think the room was configured correctly. So we moved everything to configure it correctly, the way we needed to make things work to be most productive, right? They made us put the room back the way it was, put in requests to have it changed to the way we wanted it because we broke the policy. I was confused. I was really confused. But that's what they made us do. I kid you not. I kid you not. It was so dumb. I was like, but okay. All right, let me shut my mouth. I don't want to get fired. Just so happens, right? Yeah, I know I was good. I knew you was booing the people. You was booing the people, right? Yeah, you got to boo the people. It's all good. It's all good. We good. So yeah, man, it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. It's really, really crazy. So I'm like, but yeah, some of the things I've seen people do, it's been interesting. And I like some of the creative ideas that Scrum Masters will have. But that waffle iron thing took the like I will like that trumps everything. Like I've never like I don't have them here, but I used to carry around a penguin. Call them Mumbles. Mostly, some of you all have seen Mumbles. If you look at some other videos, you'll see Mumbles, right? When I'm in the studio, you'll see Mumbles, right? And I used to carry Mumbles into the office with me. And I used to carry Mumbles to meetings with me. And people didn't say nothing. People literally did not say nothing. And if they ask about Mumbles, I just say, no, that's just Mumbles. And for those that know, Mumbles is the penguin from I think Happy Feet. Happy Feet, right? Happy Feet is what Mumbles at, right? Yeah, it's interesting because, it's just interesting. That's another. I got to tell you that story on another day. I got a lot of stories. It's just crazy how many stories I be talking about. Every time we talk about something, I got these new stories. So let me try one more time, y'all. Do y'all have any questions about anything? About anything? Because I know we joking here, but I wanna. I do this thing to answer your questions. I really do. I'm not doing this thing to be your source of entertainment. That is so stupid. No, I have fun with this stuff, as you obviously can tell. It's my philosophy is really simple, y'all. If you're gonna work 8 hours a day, you might as well love what you do. Seriously. If you don't love what you do, then you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that at all. Okay? You should absolutely every moment love what you're doing. I love what I'm doing. I love coming here on Mondays to talk to y'all. I love it. I've been doing Scrum all day today. I've been loving it, right? I got CSM and CSPO class that happened today, and I love it. I wouldn't trade it in. I wouldn't trade it in at all. So I would advise you to go ahead and make sure that if you're gonna do this, make sure you love it. Like if you wasn't getting paid for it, you would actually be good with it. Okay. I think I got somebody that's coming on. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how this is gonna work. Let's see. Let me see. Let's go ahead and start getting this to work the way it should. Let me go ahead and bring Skee in. Hey, sir, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Look at you. You squared yourself up. Got yourself right. All right, that's what I'm saying. You know how this works. How you doing,
Yeah, you
brother?
know, man,
How's it
once a
going,
week.
man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
how's
Well,
it
tell me
going?
what's.
How's
We're good, man. I'm extra good. I have no complaints. But when have you ever seen me have a complaint?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm happy, and you actually took a face to face class with me, so you know how I am face to face. And I have fits face to face. I have fits in this. I do it. I'm the same way here and there, right? So that is no different, right? So tell me, do you got a question? You want to talk about something, man?
Yeah, no, I've just been thinking more about like refinements and,
Yeah.
kind of, who, what kind of discussions do you want to have in a refinement? What do you not want to have in a refinement? Who should be the leader in a refinement call? Um, and
Well,
yeah, just kind of,
let's take the first step, right?
yeah,
Let's peel it back. Let's peel the onion back first, right? Now we know that the purpose of the refinement is to make the product backlog better, right? Who do we really expect to help to make that better more than anybody else is the product owner, right? Um, and so the statement here is first and foremost, can you get the product owner to help make the product backlog better? If the answer is yes to that, then I would be spending off time with the product owner, you know, preparing that product backlog. So, and then we can make the refinement that we have with the developers completely different. The question is, can you actually do that?
okay. So like mini sessions with a product owner, or
Yeah,
maybe can you include like a senior engineer from your team in that as well if
certainly.
needed?
Hey, do this. Um, Three Amigos, it right? A lot. We had this thing that we used to call the Three Amigos, where we get one representation from each of the big parts of the team, product owner knowledge, the development knowledge, so a lead of some kind, and testing if we needed to, right? Or maybe business analyst or whatever it is. So get some key knowledge and just make a pod and say, hey, we need to have a pre-refinement where we work together collectively to make this one product backlog item super good. So it's ready for the future, right? Now, if you do that, then what's going to happen in your refinement meeting that you have with your developers is they're going to spend less time in it, and it's going to become more of an approval meeting where they're looking at the items and saying, that is good enough to go into a sprint. We don't really have any questions. Their questions aren't in the format of the requirement. Their question becomes how they're going to get the requirement done. And you don't really need to talk about that in refinement. And so you will find that refinement will change and it will become more like, yeah, we're ready for that to go. And then they'll start saying to you, well, we'll estimate it here as well to get it out the way. So if you can pull that up front, because here's your problem, Stephen, this is the issue. Your developers are your bottleneck. The more time they spend in refinement, the worse off you're going to be. So when I think about my developers being the bottleneck, what I want to do is I want to say to them what inputs to them and what outputs from them. Whatever inputs to them, I want to make sure that that stuff goes into them as clean as possible so they spend as little time on it as possible cycling around. Does that make sense? That
Yeah,
means they take the item and they immediately are working on it. Okay. So when I think about them as the bottleneck, it's like I want to prepare everything like I'm just serving it up to them on a platter to make it super easy for them. So I'm doing more bottleneck management when it comes to the developers. Does that make sense?
yeah, definitely. I
If
mean,
you
we've
if
had
you do
time.
it, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, we've had times where there's been not occasionally, but once in a while where something wasn't refined as well, and where you figure out after it's already been halfway done, or you spent
Yeah.
almost an entire sprint. That's yeah, you kind of learn your lesson about
Yeah, it's
yeah, this should
demoralizing.
have been refined.
Yeah. That's the whole problem. But if you do it this way, you're teaching the people that's writing requirements and the developers what's the right things because they start to learn what kind of information we need the most stuff on. And when they learn that, the developers end up making better choices on what to get more information on. And then the product owner and product owner team learns how to write requirements better. So you're doing this back and forth training with that exchange. That training will allow you to have less hiccups while you're developing it. But just remember, the key statement is I am treating my developers as a bottleneck and trying to pace the rate of development on that bottleneck. The more I can get into them, the more time they can have to do the work that they're there to do, the better off we're going to be ultimately. So that's how I think about it. Now, if I can't treat them as a bottleneck, then I have to figure out something different. I find another bottleneck to deal with until they become the true bottleneck. I don't want any false bottlenecks, if that makes sense. So if I'm you, I would be thinking about them as a bottleneck and how can I make things as prepared for them as possible with learnings happening along the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome. No, thanks a lot for that. I hadn't thought of it in those terms, so that's really helpful.
Yeah, it really is. It and I don't talk about this a lot in class, but um, I focus in on lean a lot, and the lean concepts are the things that make Toyota extremely great in terms of how they produce things so efficiently. And all we're really trying to do in our world is become what Toyota on things that have changes that's going to happen along the way. That's all we're really doing. And so we're trying to be the most efficient that we can be. And if you're going to be the most efficient that you can be, you need to pace things based on your bottleneck. Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just a
And
different way of thinking about it. It really is. And it's just the years of me trying to do it and then having a really good product owner, then having not so good ones. I just realized where I want my focus to be. And so I be doing everything in my power to work around that center of making sure the bottleneck is taken care of.
yeah, no, yeah, I'm gonna go along with that idea and try that out because I have a product owner that's very new, but I have really strong tech leads and business analysts that can
Yeah,
help us
yeah, yeah,
out.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah. And
yeah,
you just
no,
create a little product on a team. I mean, you literally create a product
mhm,
on a team and have them meet because, it really doesn't matter how much they meet. What matters is how much your developers are meeting. That's what matters, right? So if they got to meet a heck of a lot of times, it don't matter. They're meeting to make sure that the requirement is ready to go so the developers spend less time developing. That's the key. Hopefully everybody don't think I'm crazy that's out there, watching this. I can be a little off, but I've run into this problem on more than one occasion, right? I always run into it. It's not a new every place you go, you run into it. I guarantee you, with this client I'm about to work with, I'm gonna run into that problem, and this is the recommendation I'm gonna apply, and they're gonna use it, and they're gonna skyrocket.
yeah, it'd be awesome if you shared some of the like the big issues you come up with on this
You
client.
know what? That is, you know what? I probably will. I probably will have a debrief.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, let me write that down. Debrief. Yeah, because every time I go into the client, I always learn something new, and then there's all these other lessons that come up that I just can't think about because I'm not actively working with somebody like that, and so it's gonna be pulling all kinds of things out. So I'll take a ton of notes, man, and I'll do it. You know what I did the other day? I'm gonna tell you what I did the other day. Last week, I did a 1 day scrum where I did 2 hour sprints throughout the day just to show people how I do scrum in my everyday life. And I just recorded it and I haven't done anything with it yet. So I'm gonna put that together and put that on this channel at some point to get people that too, because it's just something that is unique that people seem to always get questions about, right? So yeah, man, I think that's gonna help you. The question is, here's the real question. What I want to hear is I want to hear you try this and let me know how it works.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, that was it for me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Steve. Anytime, come back, okay?
For sure, as always.
No problem. Thank you, sir. It is always a pleasure to have people like Sakib on because, I'm gonna tell you something. I know he has a lot of energy. I know he wants to just do great stuff. I know he has an intense desire to continuously learn. And people like that, like I really love people like that. I admire people like that because that's what I'm like. And so I see, I see in his eyes that he wants to do the best that he can. He wants to get it right. And so anytime wants to come and ask me a question, I'm an open door for him, man. Anytime, anytime. So you got it, brother. Anytime. Okay. So yeah. So anyway, that's the way it works, y'all. Your question can be just as short as his, right? And sometimes you just need a little tweak, and that little tweak can actually help you move forward. And we can work through different experiments that you want to try. You've tried this, you've tried that, you've tried this, and maybe I can help you figure out how to refine it or do something a little bit different with it. But the idea is I'm really here to help you, right? I've been doing Scrum since 2005, on the ground since 2005. I've been training since 2013. And even when I was training, I still was going inside of organizations. So I will, definitely think about this debrief thing and probably debrief some things for you as we go ahead and I work through things with the client. And I think you'll get some good insight about that. So I think that's a plus. So that being said, I'm about to go overtime, which is fine. I want to make sure I see if there's any questions that I didn't get answered here. Let's see. I have to run into some people who might qualify for hardship. Are you planning on having one in the near future? Philip, good question. February 6th, I'm having a hardship class. February 6th through whatever 4 days is after that. The hardship class will be at night from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through that Thursday. So I'm having a hardship class, right? Um, the price is going to be 250 or 350. Okay, it's not going to be the hardship class that we did back in the pandemic because that was sponsored by the Scrum Alliance completely. But it'll be 250 or 350 with leaning toward 250, right? Because that's less than half of the price, right? So maybe we make a difference and do 275, but it'd be one of those prices, right? And so that cuts it in half. So anybody that has a hardship, please, please, please have them reach out to us. Matter of fact, don't even just have them reach out to us. What I'm going to do is on my website, Bearded Eagle's website, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab the link for that class. It should be up because I was working on it this morning. I'm always working on stuff, people. I just am. And I'm never going to stop doing hardship classes because, if you was here, before the end of the year, you saw a guy named Christian. Christian was in my hardship class, right? There's several people that have come through the hardship class and find ways to give back, and I really do love that. And I can't help it. I love giving back. And so here's the deal. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna drop it in the chat. Philip, grab this, send it to whoever. Literally, tell them that they are welcome to join us, but they have to go to that website there. Let me make sure I put it on both sites. They have to go to that website there. They go to that link there. That's a specific class. Join the waiting list. And on there, it says to send us an email to hardship@beardedeagle.com. Hardship@beardedeagle.com. And they need to tell us what that hardship is and need to give us some evidence of that hardship. They do those two things. I'll make it available so they can pay the fee, and then they're in the hardship class. I believe I can have up to 50 people. 50 people, right? So, that being said, whoever it is, doesn't matter, invite them. They got a hardship, come on, join us, right? We do this. I used to try to do it once a quarter, but it's going to be in the evening. It's going to be in the evening. So hopefully that helps out. Just pass that along, Philip, and we will make sure that it's a good thing. Let's see. It's a briefing, right? Oh yeah, I'll do a debrief. I'll do a debrief about the client at some point, right? Let's see. Good stuff. Loved it. Good stuff. Great perspective. Let's see. No, nobody wants to be hemmed up in meetings. Yeah, that's true. Can't wait to see. Cool, cool, cool. Let's see. Let's keep. You are always welcome, man. You're always welcome, right? Let's see. You're always welcome for real. I would not have my career if it wasn't for you. You know what, Sakib? I completely disagree with you. You got that energy. I just was a spark. That's all I was a spark. And you the one that did the work. You the one that's out there making it happen. And like Ken Schwaber told me, Scrum wouldn't be Scrum like it is today without people like you. So my hat's a tip to you, my brother. It really, really is. So keep doing great stuff. Keep letting me know about it because I love to hear about what you're doing. I like to see what you're doing because to keep you like one of my little brothers. So keep doing it, man. Keep making it happen. Keep making it happen. I absolutely love seeing it. Let's see. Okay, all right. So then I think that's about it, right? No problem. Always welcome to have knowledge, Jermaine. You know how it goes, brother. Let's see. Everybody, I'm gonna say I appreciate you. Okay. Next week, next week, we're gonna talk about at least one technique for getting story points. At least one technique for getting story points. Okay, that will be our thing that we're going to do. I might just have to do plan and poker to get that one out the way. But we'll talk about at least one technique, likely plan and poker, get that one out the way. So, and then we can move on to other techniques. So, next week, that's what our topic will be. Other than that, y'all know how it is. You know I love you. You know I care about you. I really, really do. But look, man, make sure y'all go have great weeks. And since y'all are connected with me, don't be embarrassing me on the street. All right? You know this stuff, do great things with it. On that note, peace. I'll see you next week where we're going to be talking about at least one technique for getting story points. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy your week. Thank you so much.